Hey guys, this is Timebreaker Saiyan here and welcome to my channel. Today I am doing What If Naruto Was Like Majin Buu. Let's begin. Chapter 5 The Explosive End of Slade and Donuts. Buu and Terra had just walked into a local corner dairy to buy some food and energy drinks. Jump City was a big place, so there seemed to be shops everywhere. When the pair entered the store, Naruto stood still, looking menacing, whilst Terra rushed to the back of the store where they had the fridges for soft drinks. She quickly bought a bag full of energy drinks before moving on to the essentials. Terra had long since figured out Buu. He ate candy as a coping mechanism for killing people. Why else would he eat so much of it? Therefore, following her reasoning, she realized she needed her coping mechanism. She had killed people, although by accident, so she realized that she needed a quirk to help cope. And that was when she tasted the energy drink known as V Pure Ambrosia. And then there was Red Bull and Lift Plus and Demon and Mother and Angel. All new flavors are waiting for her to taste, so energy drinks became her quirk. Of course, she never realized Buu might be thinking in reverse, killing people so he can have candy. As for how he could afford such things and pay for the 4-year trip in general, that was an interesting story. Flashback. 3 weeks into their traveling, Naruto and Terra had moved to New York to do a job. What kind of job they were doing, Terra hadn't the foggiest idea. But Naruto said it was part of her training. He was carrying Terra piggyback whilst running extremely fast to their destination, residential areas. Terra got the bonus of molesting air, holding onto Naruto's chest. Naruto's fast pace quickly landed them in a miniature town of middle-class houses. You can let go now, Terra. Naruto didn't seem to care either way as he began walking with Terra holding onto his neck before dropping herself off his back. She caught up to Naruto and began walking beside him. So what are we here for, master? Terra looked warily at the houses and people all around them. Naruto began to chuckle evilly. We are going to. Naruto dragged it out with Terra hanging onto his every word. Sell earthquake insurance. Terra face planted anime style. What? Naruto just continued grinning. They most evil people in the world, far more evil than even me. Insurance salesman, and if they don't pay, an earthquake will hit them. Naruto put a particular emphasis on the word to see if Terra would figure it out. She had yet to disappoint him. Oh, never took you for the scamming type, master. And this is your way of testing me? Naruto nodded. We need to pay for this trip somehow, and you are too young to begin assassinating people. Assassinating people? Naruto was grateful that he had moved their conversation to a nearby abandoned park. People would begin to wonder what two 12-year-olds were doing talking about assassination. Naruto just nodded absent-mindedly. Suddenly he had a positively wicked idea. Just think of it this way, Terra. If you fail and lose control, you will be responsible for the deaths of thousands of people. So no pressure. The sarcasm positively dripped off the last statement. Terra felt faint. Sure, no pressure. Terra started giving Naruto the evil eye. Finally, she muttered, fucking slave driver. This happened to be the first time Terra had sworn in her life. Naruto grinned and formed the cross hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto easily created hundreds of clones. In another puff of smoke, they changed into different people wearing business suits. Now go, my clones. Go and sell people earthquake insurance. For only a $50 initial payment at the door, we will insure you from all earthquakes. You will only need to pay an extra $25 a month after the initial payment. Naruto was shouting this out loud whilst creating more and more clones that hanged into different people. They went door to the door slowly, so that when Terra created an earthquake midway through his speeches, every household member would be able to see a seller and get easy money. Ha 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 ha, it's the perfect plan. Naruto was unconsciously rubbing his hands together. Terra took a few steps back from her crazy master. What have I gotten myself into? Terra could feel the first of many headaches coming on. 10 minutes later, you will only need to pay an extra $25 a month after the initial payment. Suddenly the earth began shaking around the neighborhood and a couple of cracks appeared in the road. Naruto clone faked looking a bit sweaty, as if he was now regretting his words. Suddenly he was descended upon by customers demanding that he keep to his deal. At the end of the day, due to a lot of instant transmission and repeating the process, Naruto had scammed over 1 million people. With them now having a capital of $50 million, Naruto decided that it was time to bail. That was once Terra had gotten her mouth back up from the floor due to the amount of money that they had made in a single day. If I knew it was this easy, I would have started my own insurance company. Terra thought enviously before Buu grabbed her by her shoulder and used an instant transmission to bring them to a cave, where $50 million in $50 bills was stacked in a giant pile. Boo had used Hiraishi to teleport his clones to this place, so as not to use up the clone's chakra and have to make more. But how is he going to store all those bills? We can't use a bank. Naruto grabbed his right arm with his left hand. Before her very eyes, he tore it straight off without as much as a hint of pain. What the F? Terra began hyperventilating when she witnessed this brutal act straight in front of her. But then her eyes caught up with her mind. There is no blood and he doesn't seem to even feel it. What's he doing? Terra noted with some fascination that the moment Naruto's arm left his body it turned pink instead of his natural tan color. Naruto then threw his arm at the pile of money, but it wasn't an arm anymore. In midair, it lost more and more of its features and expanded. By the time it reached the pile, it resembled a giant pink sheet. It covered the money completely before it began closing up tight like a cocoon. It's still alive? What are you, master? Terra watched as the sheet became a ball which then shrank so fast she almost missed it. It then flew back to Naruto and in midair turned back into his arm. When it reconnected with his socket it assumed its tan color once again. Naruto turned back to look at Terra. Nonchalant as you like. Wow, Terra thought before she fainted. End flashback. At Slade's headquarters. It's time to carry out my plan. I will turn on the worms and sick them on Titan's tower. Slade turned on the giant mechanical worms from his computer and input the coordinates. Back at Jump City, Terra made her way back to the hotel where Naruto was staying with her. She had found it hard to control her disappointment back when Naruto had rented the room and got her a separate bed. Damn it, I have special needs. I need to molest his chest. Terra's blush would have caused the Red Cross to jump off a cliff or hang itself. Lols, all these references to tomatoes. Wanted to do something original. She walked up some stairs to the Jump City Hilton Hotel. Due to the amount of money Naruto had from the insurance scam he ran with her, the Hilton Hotel was chump change. But he is getting bored. And a bored Boo is a destructive Boo. Maybe I should convince him to take on another apprentice. Otherwise, the Titans will be sent back to their tower in a matchbox. Oh, decisions. Suddenly she felt a rumbling in the ground around the Hilton. A natural earthquake? Unlikely since we're not on a fault line. And it's not me, so it must be something large tunneling. I swear if this is Master being bored again but her suspicions were unfounded as Naruto walked out of the hotel, shirtless and hot as usual. Terra wondered what it would take to faze her master and voiced her opinion. Doesn't anything faze you, master? Naruto walked towards her and pondered the question. Running out of candy. It will bring about the apocalypse. Brought about by me, but she doesn't need to know that. Naruto walked closer and closer to Terra, enjoying how her blush grew in size. Really, master, candy, Naruto, what are we going to do about this? Terra gestured at the rumbling street and shaking buildings. It was obvious that this was an attack by some sort of villain. Let's head over to the Titans. Naruto turned around and began running towards their tower. Terra only just managed to hold back her groan at him turning away. Then she realized what her master had said. What? Why would we go there? Naruto looked back and grinned devilishly. For entertainment, of course. Terra grinned, of course, and created a hoverboard from a piece of the road. She should have known her own master's thought processes by now, but he continuously surprised her. But seeking out the Teen Titans for entertainment was definitely him. Meanwhile, the Titans were playing Whack-A-Mole, only these moles were indestructible and could fly. So not really Whack-A-Mole anymore. It was then that Cyborg realized what the target was. Dude, they're after the tower. Meanwhile, Naruto and Terra were standing on top of Titan's tower. One of Naruto's greatest secrets and deceptions was that he could fly. He just felt like keeping it hidden in this world, so he caught a ride up with Terra. They must not be at home. What to do? Naruto was getting bored. Hell, Terra was beginning to feel bored too. Naruto looked up at the sky and saw the moon. It was so round and big. Naruto's stomach growled. Suddenly he had a brilliant idea. Could I turn the entire moon into a chocolate dumpling? With caramel on the inside and sprinkles on top. Naruto stood up, but just before he could execute his brilliant plan and unleash sweet sugary chaos on the earth below, 3 flying worms appeared and started flying around them. Correction, they flew around the tower. Naruto watched as they all linked up into a circle before spinning round and round. He took no notice of the fact that they were shooting lasers at the ground. To him those were just details. What was far more important was how these things resembled a donut. Terra noticed her master was zoning out again and took it upon herself to solve the problem. That was before she too realized how much the worms resembled a donut. Okay, maybe a bit more of Naruto had rubbed off on her than she thought. And I want a lot more of him rubbing me off. No bad Terra bad. And so our two heroes, who could have stopped the madman's evil plan, were instead stuck in La La Land. Thus they didn't notice the tower starting to sink. Finally, Naruto decided to end this crime against nature and fired a purple beam at the worms, turning them into a giant donut. But before he could celebrate, some laser beams shot out of the ground and cut through the donut. To Naruto, it was the sign of the apocalypse. I had a perfect giant donut and these lasers ruined it. Someone's going to pay. Naruto was getting very angry enough to charge up a gigantic pink energy ball. Robin landed on the roof with them and Terra for the first time realized that they were sinking. That just won't do. A gigantic energy ball just loses its effectiveness if the person who created it is sinking. Oh well, here I go. Terra's eyes glowed yellow and she pushed both hands up as if she were Atlas holding up the sky. Titan's tower began rising from the sea. Robin was looking incredulous. Do you guys know that this is not a word? OMG, this word means to me, bug-eyed, can't believe what you are seeing. If there is an actual word that looks like this one and I have been misreading it, then please tell me. Thanks guys. As Terra raised the tower by herself. That was before he remembered that Naruto was holding up a ball of energy the same size as the tower. And still growing, and then he saw the giant donut around the tower and, just close your eyes, Robin. All the craziness will go away by itself. But when his eyes were open, nothing had changed. You there, boy? Robin realized he was being addressed as such by Majin Naruto Boo. Who created the laser beams? Robin blinked. The laser beams were created by Slade and cut through the foundations of the tower and the giant donut. How the hell did that get there anyway? Easy Robin, that's crazy talk. Chapter 6. A relationship lemon. Damn it master, can't you show a little restraint? It wasn't a question because Terra already knew the answer. She sighed when lava began to erupt up from the ground in the distance. He wasn't kidding with the hole in the crust thing. I guess I'll have to fix it up. Terra quickly jumped back onto her street boar and flew off towards the disaster area, leaving Boo on top of the tower with the rest of the Titans. When the Titans finally recovered from the shock of the explosion, they all got into fighting stances. But when they looked for Boo, they found him lying on the ground reading a book titled Icha Icha, whilst drinking a smoothie through a straw. The Titans didn't know how to deal with that. Yo, are we going to fight or what? Cyborg shouted at Boo, ready for anything. Naruto pointed his finger at him and fired a purple beam. Cyborg was instantly turned into a waffle. Naruto stopped drinking and sucked up the waffle like a vacuum cleaner. He then went right back to reading his book and drinking his smoothie. This time it only took 2 seconds for the Titans to get their mouths off the floor. Give friend Cyborg back, Starfire shouted angrily, her eyes glowing green. Naruto sighed before spitting at her. Halfway between the two, Cyborg appeared in a puff of smoke. He crashed into Starfire, unconscious but unharmed. Starfire. Robin ran to check up on her. Naruto raised an eyebrow. His friend was just eaten, but he's more worried about the girl. I guess I was right, there are feelings between them. So much blackmail. Naruto grinned as he stood up and cricked his back and neck. Right, let's do this. Wait. Dude, I don't want to have my arm blown off again. Can't we just talk this out? This was Beast Boy, for once being the voice of reason. No Beast Boy. He is a criminal and needs to go to jail. No surprises here, that was Robin. But the Titans didn't know what Boo had done and Raven thought she should mention it. For doing what? Property damage? Her dry, sarcastic voice drew Naruto's attention like a beacon. His red irises focused on her and seemed to stare into her soul. Raven instinctively took a step back. This was the kind of reaction Naruto had been looking for, because he grinned, showing his razor-sharp canines. Never thought I would see a Hanyu here. Tell me then, you, who was your father? Was he powerful? Would he be a worthy opponent? Or did your human father just fuck a succubus? The Titans were surprised by the vulgarity used by Naruto. What surprised them even more was Raven's reaction to it. Her eyes opened in shock and she took another step back, looking panicked. Street lamps all around Titan's tower began to melt. Naruto's grin grew even wider, looking like a shark's. You'll never be able to control your powers fully without my help. You are rejecting the other side of you. Both sides must be one for harmony to be reached. This last sentence sounded so wise, but it was kind of ruined by Boo's toothy maw. Then he had a brilliant idea. This'll be good, a simple prank. Naruto tossed Raven his book. She instinctively caught it with her powers and looked at the cover. That book holds the secrets to power. Read it and you will understand. The sun was almost fully set when Terra returned to Titan's tower, to see one of her oddest sights yet. 3 of the Titans were surrounding Raven, reading over her shoulder. And they all had blushes. Well, except for Starfire. Her Temeranian powers allowed her to speak the language, not read it. And Robin was just studying Boo because let's face it, the boy was badly repressed. Icha had managed to corrupt its first victims in the new world. To this day Terra never knew how Naruto had acquired a copy. It seemed that Icha had dimension traveling powers too. Poor innocent Raven, first the dildo and now porn disguised as the books she loved so much. It's a miracle that her powers hadn't turned them all into Swiss cheese. In heaven just before, Jiraiya was grinning with a nosebleed as he completed his first edition of Icha, Angels. He had died fighting Nagato and had ended up here. It was frickin' awesome. Winged half-naked chicks were everywhere and they had a lot of water fights. Hehehehe, this is going to be my greatest work ever. Oh Jiraiya-kun. You wouldn't be writing those books, would you? Suddenly there was a feeling of imminent death behind him. He turned around and saw Kami behind him with the aura of the Shinigami itself around her. Oh shit, that is the Shinigami. Jiraiya was so scared that he dropped his book, which fell through the clouds. No. Present time, Terra sighed as she relaxed in the bathroom of Titan's tower. She had no idea how Naruto had gotten them rooms here. Well, her room was permanent. His was temporary. I guess he decided to teach that Raven chick after all. Her powers are very strange. And apparently, she is a Hanyu, whatever that means. Naruto is so dreamy. You mind if I join you, Terra? Terra's eyes shot open as she looked to her right, Lemon, to see a very naked, very erect Majin Naruto Boo. He stood there, completely bare with his erect 9 inches pointing right at her. At this point she was surprised. Okay, she had no idea where this had come from. But, that being said, she wasn't the kind of girl for dinner at fancy restaurants and romantic music. That would just make her claustrophobic. She had all her emotions and enjoyed heartfelt talks just like any other girl, but she never liked people. She was outgoing and adventurous. God, why am I thinking this? A massive cock is pointing at me, belonging to my hot master, who is completely ripped and is a stamina freak. What a way to lose my virginity. By all means, master, come on in and join me. I hope this bath is big enough for the 2 of us. Terra, feeling bold, spread her legs even whilst she was underwater. Naruto grinned at her forwardness. To be fair, we weren't that timid with each other. Terra was just a bit shy. Ah, friend Terra. I require your assistance, please. Starfire was once again the most clueless girl in the tower and walked in on Terra bathed by herself. What do you want, Starfire? Terra almost began moaning before she bit her fist. Little did Starfire know that Naruto had sensed her, so just before she walked into the bathroom he had quickly flattened himself. He then flowed into the bath and sunk to the bottom. Naruto was still aroused, so he had attached his face to Terra's pussy and was currently eating her out underwater. Naruto's mouth and face created a watertight seal around her pussy so she could feel everything. It was the single most erotic thing that had ever happened to her, and Starfire, watching her, was making her even hotter. Well, I wish to be more than friends with friend Robin. But he is difficult. What should I do? Difficult, more like fucking repressed. I have to stop swearing, even if it is in my head. By the way, where did cussing take the place of swearing? Is it British slang that people are using from reading too many Harry Potter fanfics or what? Well, Starfire, I think. That you can do this one of 2 ways. 1, oh god yes, you can take it slow, try to ease him into a relationship. The other way is to, oh Naruto it's dirty, take off your clothes, and hope that he will have the typical teenage boy reaction. Try the first way until you get impatient, then go for option 2. At this point, Terra began biting her first so her moans and dirty talk wouldn't become too loud. Thank you, friend Terra, I will take your advice. Starfire chirpily flew out of the room with new confidence. Whilst Terra's body was getting ready to explode, Naruto had heard everything underwater and was contemplating Terra's advice. Hey, let it never be said that option 2 doesn't work. I am a genius, Naruto, Terra yelled out as she orgasmed into Naruto's mouth. Her shaved pussy, which was in an airtight seal, was soaking wet and none of it was from the water. The next morning, God Terra you're so good. Suck it harder. Naruto was currently lying on Terra's bed, watching the hot naked blonde swallow his dick in such an obscene manner. Her hair was down and covering her right eye whilst her left eye was staring up at him. After Starfire had left Terra in the bathroom, Naruto had reformed and carried a naked Terra to bed. He then fell asleep with her. Naruto had no idea his morning was going to start like this though. Terra's tongue snaked its way just outside her lips to lick around the head of his dick. Then she broke eye contact and looked down at his penis before taking his dick down her throat. That's it, Terra. Such your master's dick. I'm going to come. Naruto's right hand tangled itself in Terra's hair before he roared and exploded in her mouth. And lemon. Whilst they were both recovering from their exertions, the alarm started going off. Naruto groaned, partially in satisfaction and in annoyance. You better go help the Titans, Terra. Experience can teach you far more than I could at this stage. Well, the exception for that is martial arts, but we'll get to that. Go. Terra swallowed his cum and nodded. She quickly got up, got dressed, and ran out of her room to join the Titans. Naruto grinned as he materialized his pants and boots before using instant transmission to teleport to the roof of the tower to watch the sunrise. Whilst Terra and the Teen Titans went to deal with a robbery made by the trio from Hive Academy, the first of 3 for that week, Naruto would sit meditating, trying to figure out where to go from here. I could become a real villain and wipe out a few cities, maybe a continent or two. But that would turn Terra against me, and I am enjoying these mating rituals. I wonder, how good is sex? Wait, I got distracted again. I know, I'll fight someone. When has that ever failed me? But first, Naruto watched Terra and the Titans leave the tower. Time to raid the fridge. Chapter 7. The liquidation of Brother Blood. Naruto stretched out his senses, looking for power levels that were stronger than that of a civilian. He sensed a large group of fighters, and he used that word very lightly, in the same place. Must be the headquarters of some other group, I'll check it out. Naruto took off and flew to where the area was. He flew because instant transmission was getting boring and none of the Titans were here to see him fly. As if they could even see his full speed. Halfway there he realized that hadn't told Terra where he was going. Quickly forming a cross-shaped hand sign, Naruto created a single shadow clone and sent it back to wait for Terra to return. With that covered, he made his way to the Hive Academy. Meanwhile, Jinx, Gizmo, and Mammoth resembled half-buried corpses as they made their way back to Hive Academy. Those sleazes never told us there was a new Titan. That dirtball Terra. Gizmo continued mumbling, well, like a little kid. Jinx, however, disagreed with his statement. Guys, I don't think she was a member. She never attacked us unless we attacked her. Either she is green or she is not a member. The more Jinx stated her opinion, the more confident she was in her assessment. But then why was she with them then? Gizmo responded as he whizzed along in his jetpack. Don't know. Let's hurry back, I'm hungry. Gizmo and Jinx exchanged an exasperated look at Mammoth's comment but had to admit that what he said was true. The best they could do was report their findings. Inside Hive Academy. You've got mail, bitch. Naruto yelled as he smashed straight through the wall of Hive Academy. He landed right in the middle of the Academy's training grounds. The place was full of automated defenses. He grinned like a shark as he waited for a fighter to show themselves. He didn't care who the fighter was. And who are you? A cultured voice spoke as an older male made his way towards him. Naruto heard the voices of the teenagers in this building saying the word, headmaster, a lot. He grinned, so this guy is their strongest fighter. Let's see what he's got, Naruto thought and charged straight at him. Naruto felt like he was moving at a snail's pace, but to the others, he was a blur. Brother Blood was able to dodge his attacks, barely. Weaving out of everyone, he quickly jumped up to avoid Naruto's punch, which smashed into the Academy's beehive-themed wall. A shockwave was emitted from the point of impact, destroying all the nearby wall turrets. Brother Blood saw that his opponent's right arm was stuck, so he went for the chop to the back of Boo's head. But Naruto's arm wasn't stuck. When Brother Blood closed the distance, Naruto tore his arm out of the wall. Spinning around, he smashed his elbow straight into Brother Blood's temple. A strike like this from a normal human was dangerous. A strike from Boo liquefied Brother Blood's brain inside his skull and snapped his neck. And then, there was silence. Naruto grinned and fired a purple beam at Brother Blood's corpse, turning him into a box of Smarties. God, I love doing this. The irony is never lost. He walked ominously towards the box before picking it up and emptying it inside his mouth. Munch, munch, munch. Naruto chewed his sugar-coated chocolate delights before swallowing. He looked around at all the petrified kids before he had a brilliant idea. A new game, one that would aid him in choosing a new student. Naruto's grin looked like a shark's. I have a new game that I want you all to play. Naruto began to power up. Survive or feed me. Boo yelled out before firing a purple beam at a teenager with one eye, turning him into a jawbreaker. Ha 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 ha. Back with the Teen Titans, Terra walked back to the tower with the Titans trailing behind her. Dude, she is scary, Beast Boy commented to Robin as they walked back. Well, Starfire flew. Remind me not to get on her bad side, Cyborg added as he walked next to Robin. She's been expertly trained. Not many people can walk right out of a pile drive by Mammoth. And what happened next? Flashback, yo, Blondie, you gonna help your snot-nosed friends? Gizmo flew right at Terra as he asked the question. Terra just looked at him, an evil smile appearing on her face, with only one eye visible. Attack me and let's find out. Mammoth completely blindsided her. Gizmo was only the distraction. She went flying into the concrete wall of the vault, back first. Mammoth and Gizmo laughed at the new girl they took out so easily. That was until a hole opened up beneath Mammoth and swallowed him before closing. You know the best thing about that move? Terra spoke, her body obscured by the dust cloud. No matter how strong you are, you can't escape because you are completely immobile. Terra walked out of the dust cloud with no injuries, just a bit of dirt on her clothing. What the others didn't know was she changed the wall she was pile-driven into quicksand just before she hit it. Releasing a dust cloud and re-solidifying the wall was child's play. But she'd rather they think that she was far more durable than she was. I could simply wait for you to run out of air, but you've pissed me off. She held out her right hand, palm out, and cupped it as if she were holding a large ball. Her eyes turned a glowing yellow before she swung her right hand up. The piece of the floor containing Mammoth was blasted up, smashing through ceiling after ceiling in the underground vault, disintegrating as it went up. Of course, this meant that Mammoth was feeling every impact. When Mammoth finally smashed through the roof, he was only rising from the momentum, which still carried him 50 feet up. Terra's right arm was now almost vertical when she clutched her right hand into a fist and turned it 90 degrees to a more natural position. In response, all the flying loose rubble formed into a giant stone fist the same size as a mammoth, right above him. Feeling like it was time for a cheesy line, Terra said, "What comes up must come down," before bringing her right fist down and giving Mammoth a giant axe handle from hell. The giant fist smashed into Mammoth's back, sending him crashing down at almost supersonic speeds. The shockwave and impact sent up a giant mushroom dust cloud and registered on local earthquake sensors. Mammoth was out cold from the impact. End flashback. Unfortunately, Gizmo had taken Mammoth with him as he and Jinx made their escape. But not without a healthy dose of fear for the blonde teen. When the Titans arrived back at the tower, Majin Naruto Boo was waiting for them at the lounge. Well, a shadow clone was. Terra, Naruto has gone to fight some people, he'll be back soon. I think he was looking for a new student. Terra nodded before asking an obvious question. What about Raven? Weren't you going to teach her how to control her powers? Most of the Titans were interested in his answer to that question. Naruto shook his head. She's not ready yet, she needs to grow a little more. Before puffing away, there was a very awkward silence after that. Ah, Terra, what does he mean by that? Beast Boy was honestly confused by her master's actions. My master is incredibly powerful. So powerful that he seeks out apprentices to pass the time. I was his first apprentice. So does that mean you'll become a Teen Titan? Stay on the team permanently? Beast Boy sounded hopeful. Beast Boy does have a point. You have graduated by your master's standards. Why not join the team? Robin held out a Teen Titans communicator. Terra smiled a true smile before taking the communicator. Sure, I'll join, but it'll only be temporary. Until Master is finished training his new student. Good thinking, Terra. Everyone jumped almost a meter in the air when they heard that voice. They looked up and saw Naruto standing upside down, on the ceiling. His arms were crossed and his eyes were looking down at them. Their crimson irises on black sclerae made meeting his gaze unnerving. Although at this point nothing could really shock them about his abilities. Where's your new student master? Terra asked and looked around as if expecting a new person to just pop up. I stored her like the 50 million. No one else would get the meaning but Terra did. She just nodded and asked, when will you be back? Naruto gave her a toothy smile. Not long, she's already been trained. All I'm going to do is make her much stronger. Terra sighed. Another woman master, seriously. Sigh, I'll see you in a couple of months? Terra was fishing for the amount of time she would be apart from her master. Naruto grinned and said, "You got it," before using instant transmission. Back with the Hive trio. Dude, what the fuck happened here? Gizmo would usually get a dressing down by Jinx for his language. But the entire Hive Academy was completely trashed, leaving nothing more than a crater and a few walls. This wouldn't be the first time they had to move, and it wouldn't be the last. However, they hadn't heard anything from their communicators, not from their comrades or brother blood. Something flew past her at rapid speed. It took Jinx a split second to realize that it was an airborne mammoth before he crashed into the rest of the ruins, throwing out a large plume of dust. Jinx was shocked at the complete lack of warning. No speech, no announcing their attacker's presence or name. Not even Gizmo's scanners picked him up. Just suddenly Mammoth was just flying. She cartwheeled away and finished with a backflip to see her opponent. She saw a boy about their age with golden hair and his fist extended. Suddenly he disappeared and reappeared behind Gizmo with his right leg parallel to his head. Then, in an amazing display of flexibility and strength, brought his leg straight down in a giant heel drop. It broke Gizmo's back, smashing straight through his almost solid steel backpack. Gizmo went straight into shock. The boy disappeared again and appeared right in front of her, eye to eye. Her vision was filled with the face of a psychotic smile and glowing red eyes on a black background. The feast of death and destruction at the Hive Academy had woken up the Majin Buu in him. It felt pretty good. Jinx screamed before firing off a massive purple blast that cracked the entire street and sent Buu flying back. Of course that was only because he let her. He wanted to see what another energy user would do when they stared death in the face. She spun her arms and sent 2 arcs of purple energy at him. They hit him and the building he had crashed into, causing it to crumble and collapse on top of him. This was what he was after. Will you crumble and die from my assault? Or will you grow, like I do? This fight was starting to get his blood boiling. Naruto could feel his ki climbing higher and higher in anticipation. He screamed out his enjoyment of the fight, unleashing his bloodlust. Unknowingly his pupils became slits as the Biju inside him were woken up by his bloodlust. His ki climbed ever higher. Of course, he would have to pull his punches, but that didn't mean he wasn't going to beat her into a bloody mess to see what she had. To the fearful Jinx, pink light started to shine through the rubble before it all exploded. She gasped as she saw her unknown attacker. The rest of the rubble was hovering around him and he was covered in a pink fireball. All she could see was his bulging muscles and spiky hair that seemed to be blowing up from an unknown air current. He lifted his right hand, palm facing towards her. Naruto raised his head, which had faced the asphalt, and grinned at her with his toothy maw. Ha! He shouted and fired a small pink ki blast at her. Jinx's danger senses were screaming at her, so she cartwheeled back and jumped up high. She landed on top of a broken wall. The ki blast hit the wall below her and detonated. Jinx was expecting something with the power of Starfire's bolts. Something that would damage the wall but shouldn't harm her unless hit directly. She wasn't prepared for a dome of energy as tall as the wall and a shockwave that caught her and sent her flying. Fortunately, the wall had helped in slowing down the energy of the dome so that the shockwave came before the energy dome. Otherwise, she would be legless. This is true in DBZ fights. High-level attackers firing ki blasts or balls will detonate into large domes before the shockwave hits. This is due to the sheer speed of the detonation, which is so fast it consumes its shockwave for a while. Please note that this only works for attacks that detonate into domes or spheres. Not the ki blasts that just detonate on contact and explode. Of course in DBZ fights walls don't mean jack shit, but yeah, didn't want Jinx to be legless lols. Whilst Jinx was in midair she had an epiphany. This is the guy who wrecked Hive Academy. So what chance do I have? Subconsciously, her body flipped and landed on another piece of rubble. Unbidden, her eyes went first to Mammoth, knocked out quite close to her, and then went to Gizmo, who if survived would be permanently paralyzed. She felt tears coming. No, I won't give up. Even if I die, it'll be with my friends. She put her hands behind her, unknowingly forming the Kamehameha pose. With my power being bad luck, such a concentrated beam should kill him with a heart attack or stroke. Naruto had stopped moving and was experiencing déjà vu. Jinx smiled joyously. It was time. Purple energy gathered in her hands and formed into a ball. Taking a page from her attacker's book, she screamed, "Ha!" before firing her beam at him. The beam of purple bad luck was as thick as her and came barreling down at Buu. He grinned and extended both hands out to stop the blast. When the blast hit him, he was unprepared for the size of its power. Jinx herself didn't know what she had unleashed. Instead of a ki blast like he had expected, her bad luck powers caught him completely off guard. They attacked him and obliterated his body down to the cells. This was an attack that couldn't be defended against with just brute strength. Ha, I did it, Jinx thought before she collapsed unconscious. She never saw the pink clouds of smoke forming. When Naruto reformed, he was shocked. Just like that, a girl had almost killed him. He, the strongest person on this planet, no, the entire dimension. He was almost panicking, however, thanks to the calm nature of Minato Namikaze and Buu's near inability to panic quickly calmed him down. He had a near-death experience, but he wasn't dead. What he had learned from this was invaluable. All energy blasts weren't like ki or chakra. He had grown careless. Just because Starfire's blasts and powers were identical to AZ Fighter's didn't mean all energy users were in the same dimension. Raven's powers reminded him of a chakra coat, but she too could have other powers. It seemed that he wasn't ready to teach her either. He reached this unnamed girl, looking down at her form. She wasn't bad looking, but Raven's looks were superior to her in every way. But he would spare her as thanks, and heal her comrade. He fired his blue beam at Gizmo and healed him, but Naruto didn't keep it going long enough for the midget to regain consciousness. No need for extra complications. And speaking of complications, it's time to get rid of the luggage. I loathe eating helpless children, reminds me of me. Naruto spat out a large amount of what looked like black peas, which in a puff of smoke expanded into the entire Hive Academy sans brother blood, since he was, well, dead, and fully digested. He had his fill of carnage for the day and had learned a valuable lesson that would come in handy when he jumped to other dimensions. Now it was time to leave and go train his other student. As he walked by, he caught his reflection in the mirror. What the fuck? There, along with the slit pupil in each of his eyes, was one black tomo in each eye. Chapter 8. The Taming of Man and Kitty. Ha 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 ha. Dodge, Cheshire dodge. Buu was using a smaller version of his human extinction attack and firing them all at Cheshire. Miniature explosions were wrecking the landscape as the girl pulled out all the stops to stay alive. He had taken her to the same canyon that he used to train Terra. Only, Terra knew it was training. Cheshire was running and dodging for her life. She'd even tried going invisible, to absolutely no effect. Naruto just kept on blasting a continuous meteor shower of energy blasts at her. That little invisibility stunt almost cost Cheshire her arm. Instead, she only lost her right sleeve, which was completely vaporized by an energy ball. She knew her kidnapper wasn't playing around, but that she almost lost her arm terrified her. Her kidnapper wasn't playing around. Or maybe he is. He certainly seems to be enjoying himself. It doesn't matter though, he's still trying to kill me. Cheshire jumped side to side to dodge the incoming blasts, jumping up onto a boulder and running across cliff walls in an attempt to throw off her attacker's aim. Nothing worked, and even worse, the balls were starting to close in on her even with her full speed and agility. To be honest, Cheshire had no idea what was going on. Hive Academy was just attacked by this demon. She had tried to escape instead of fighting the inevitable. It seemed to have found her attempts at escaping rather amusing and interesting. Great, a psycho is interested in me. I sure know how to pick *M. Cheshire dodged another group of energy balls that left craters in the hard canyon floor. She was getting tired, so tired. Then she misjudged an energy ball that clipped her and incinerated her left pinky finger along with a good bit of her sleeve. Suddenly she wasn't so tired anymore. Ah, you son of a, kaboom. 3 energy balls hit the spot where she was at the same time. This forced her to jump up, riding the shockwave like she had been taught to increase her jump height. Cheshire gasped, I'm a sitting duck, I can't maneuver in mid-air. She waited for the blasts to hit her with her eyes open. She wasn't some scared little girl. She would face the attack head-on. But no attack came. As she watched, not a single blast emerged from her attacker's raised arm. Her feet touched the ground and the blasts started coming again, slightly faster than before. Cheshire quickly ran up to the top of a hill and jumped, getting some good airtime and, if she was correct, time to think. Like she thought, not a single energy ball followed her up. As I thought, his attack only works when you touch the ground. And the longer the attacks go, the faster they get. It wasn't just me being tired. However, from what I saw before, jumping up doesn't reset the attack speed. Their jumping will only buy me more time before the attack gets fast enough to hit me the moment I touch the ground. She landed and jumped again, barely avoiding being caught in the explosion. It is the ultimate ranged attack. Ranged attack, that's it. If this attack is like artillery, then he can't move. The only limb of his body that can still move is his right arm. Crap, but his right arm can punch through concrete walls with no trouble. But he can't move. If I can just get close. Cheshire hit the ground and began running as fast as she could at a dead sprint towards Naruto, unconsciously taking the running style of the shinobi from Naruto's world. Although she was running the fastest she had ever run, the fact that she was running towards Naruto meant that the energy balls were quick to catch up. She jumped up a split second before a blast hit where she was. Again she caught the shockwave and rode it towards Naruto. She would have to time this perfectly. Cheshire landed right in front of Naruto. Almost unconsciously, he released 2 energy balls at her. But Cheshire never stopped moving. She performed a perfect power slide between Naruto's legs, ducking underneath his right cross at the same time. His left arm, which was still straight up, released 2 more blasts. Finally, Cheshire regained her footing and jumped away from the explosion caused by the energy balls hitting their owner. Yes, I did it. Cheshire inwardly cheered. Her elation at defeating the monster who wiped out Hive Academy momentarily drowned out the pain of losing one of her fingers. Of course, the adrenaline didn't last forever as she landed and ripped off what was left of her sleeve and bandaged her wound. It revealed that the skin on her arm was a tanned brown. Ha, 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 ha. Cheshire froze as she heard the twisted laughter. No. She turned around, slowly, her eyes widened in panic. Not that you could see her expression through her mask. But that one word said it all. There, walking out of the explosion, completely unharmed, was that demon. Laughing at her, his eyes screamed endless violence. Suddenly his expression became ecstatic, disturbing her even more than the violent eyes. Yes. You are exactly what I have been looking for. Another potential Majin. Cheshire was confused and terrified. She just hadn't decided which emotion she felt more. But before she could reach a decision, the demon continued speaking. I engineered faults and patterns into my attack whilst putting you on a timer. If you could find a way for me to be hit before my attacks killed you, then you would prove yourself worthy. Worthy? Worthy of what? As if he could read her mind. A rather disturbing thought, the demon answered her. My name is Majin Naruto Buu, but you can call me Buu-sensei. I will teach you kunai fighting techniques, and if you prove yourself worthy, I will teach you the ultimate kunai fighting technique, Hiraishin. Now Cheshire was truly lost. Her surprise won over her terror, surprisingly. She was so shocked she blurted out the first thing that came to mind, but why me? And don't I get a say in this? Naruto grinned. You thought on your feet, broke down an opponent's technique, exploited its weaknesses and finally executed your plan flawlessly. That is the way of the ninja. You will become the greatest kunoichi in the world under my guidance. Your training begins now, and no, if you refuse you become a chocolate milkshake. Ha, only Majin Buu could make that a legitimate threat. Cheshire flinched. What a way to put me off milk, meow, crap. Meanwhile, Naruto was thinking hard, something he usually didn't have to do. He hadn't joined the dots yet on how he acquired the Sharingan, but what was surprising was that Kushina Uzumaki knew so much about it. It seems trying to keep up with fast-moving objects in a battle situation upgrades the Sharingan after the near-death situation activates it. The problem is the fact that I am Majin Naruto Buu. I am the fastest there ever was. So by teaching someone the Hiraishin and then sparring with them, I should be able to upgrade my Sharingan. Maybe not fully, but definitely up to 2 times. I'll probably have to fight someone faster than me for real for the 3rd tomo. Ah, my head hurts. Naruto disappeared behind a boulder and quickly created a Buu clone. A Buu clone was his invention. A shadow clone with a golf ball-sized piece of him in its core. Since the ball was technically part of him, he could still channel ki through it. A seal was applied based on Minato Namikaze's 8 trigrams sealing style design to the piece of him. Just like the Kyuubi could channel its chakra through shadow clones, Naruto could do the same with his Buu clones. This gave the clones the added benefit of being invincible unless the piece of him, located in its stomach, was vaporized instantly. And they would never run out of chakra unless he cut them off from him. The only problem with this technique was the speed it took to create them. When someone quickly creates a clone, it takes them about a second, maybe less. To create a Buu clone, Naruto had to pull off a bit of his skin, use 2 4-symbol seals to create the 8 trigrams sealing style, and finally create a shadow clone around the core. The entire process took about 20 to 30 seconds, making it useless in battle unless he thought ahead. Now for most people, they would just sit down and mass produce these guys for later. The problem was that he was Naruto Uzumaki fused with the already impatient Super Buu. He was making this up as he went. The Buu clone had its orders: turn a couple of thousand people into Hiraishin Kunai and then create multiple shadow clones to apply the seals. With a little luck, it would be finished before the day was up. The Buu clone used instant transmission to disappear to the nearest out-of-the-way populated area. Meanwhile, Naruto would be teaching his apprentice the hummingbird taijutsu style. Minato's style. The style was based on speed, mobility, and rapid arm movement. It had no kicks at all, surprising for a speed-based taijutsu style. Of course, a hummingbird, no matter how fast it hit you, couldn't do much unless you were a Hyuga. But arm it with the Rasengan or the razor-sharp melee weapon that was the Hiraishin Kunai and you had a much different story. Add to it that the actual Hiraishin Jutsu allowed you to move at the speed of light and much different story. Naruto wasn't sure if he was going to teach Cheshire the Rasengan yet, which was rather laughable since you usually went about it in reverse, learning the Rasengan before the Hiraishin. He just wasn't sure how much chakra Cheshire had. Naruto didn't want to waste his time teaching her mass amounts of chakra control techniques. There was plenty of time for that after she gave him his next tomo as payment. Besides, she was built for this style. Speak of the devil. Here, I come? Kind of hard to call it a he, since it contains a still living part of me. Stop thinking. I refuse to go all human and soft. Damn, I need to kill 100,000 people. Death, death, death lunch. Lols, where did I get that piece of a quote from? Guess right in the review and I will send you a cookie. Meanwhile with Terra and the Teen Titans, move it you pansies. Hot to hot too. Terra was randomly dressed in a drill sergeant uniform complete with a soldier helmet worn askew on her head. She also had a horsewhip in her right hand and was using it to supply motivation to Cyborg and Beast Boy. They were desperately crawling through the mud that was constantly trying to drown them thanks to Terra. Robin couldn't figure out what the duo had done for them to deserve it, but the fire in Terra's eyes told him all he needed to know. Whatever they had done, they deserved it. Also, Raven seemed amused at the entire scene and it was rare for the girl to smile. Besides, Terra wouldn't kill Beast Boy and Cyborg. Hands suddenly formed out of the mud and pulled both the duo's heads underneath. Would she? Robin asked himself with a sweat drop. Time skip, I did it sensei. I mastered the Hiraishin. Cheshire was bouncing up and down in excitement, which was doing interesting things to her breasts. Naruto had to suppress his shout of, finally, good, my student. Now for the final exam. Once you have completed this test you too will have the title Majin. Then I'll kill you sensei. I'll avenge all my classmates. Cheshire had an evil smirk underneath her mask. She never realized that Naruto could feel her killing intent just underneath the surface. He had been forced to train her in the tree climbing exercise before she could learn the Hiraishin. By constantly channeling chakra through her body thanks to the exercise, Cheshire had increased all of her skills. Hey, foolish girl. Does she not realize that her strength is nothing compared to mine? Nonetheless, I wonder what she will be able to do in 10 years. To this day she doesn't know a single hand sign. Naruto shook his head, definitely going soft, but at least I will soon have a new tomo. Listen well, Cheshire. To pass the final exam, you must kill me. What? Cheshire was shocked. Kami bless Star Wars. This is great. For you to assume the title of Majin and take the M upon your mask, you must kill your teacher, like I killed mine. Cheshire was shivering violently. All her thoughts for revenge were called into question. Is this what he wants? Does he know about the way I feel? Are these feelings just what he wanted me to have? Am I just another Majin in this chain of hatred? Suddenly Naruto appeared in front of her, his right fist clocked back. She jumped away just in time, as Naruto's right fist left a crater in the ground. Shit, that would have killed me. Naruto began laughing again, unaware of the psychological trauma it was causing the kunoichi. It's the same laugh that killed all my friends. Cheshire snapped and launched from her long sleeves hundreds of Hiraishin kunai. They flew at and around Buu, leaving nowhere for him to run. Naruto just swung his right fist and the invisible ki and air pressure from the punch dispersed the kunai coming at him. Cheshire didn't hesitate and began using Hiraishin. Naruto grinned and activated his Sharingan. Her first attempt had her appearing behind him and trying to stab him. But it was still too slow. Naruto spun around for a perfect spinning kick that would have taken off her head if she hadn't Hiraishin away. I never said I was going to make it easy for you, Cheshire. If you don't impress me I will kill you and find a new apprentice. In mid-speech Cheshire appeared right in front of him, arm extended for a stab directly for the heart. She almost made it before Naruto brought his hands together, turning her entire head into a pancake if she didn't hear Ishin away at the last moment. Naruto was grinning inside his head. That's it, Cheshire. Examine my weaknesses just like I taught you. If anyone can find a weakness, it's a kunoichi like you. Then find a way to make your attacks hit. Cheshire's thinking was along the same lines as her master's. I almost hit him the second time. Why? It was right in front of him. He should have reacted even quicker than the first attack from behind, mid-speech or not. I used Hiraishin when I was in mid-stab. That's it, I have to use my moves in a split second before I complete them. I Hiraishin to him. It will take every bit of timing I have. Meanwhile, back at the battlefield, Cheshire appeared at the kunai furthest away from Naruto. She jumped straight up and performed a spinning kick. The only problem was the fact that she was more than 20 meters away. What is she doing? Suddenly she disappeared and Naruto was bashed right across the back of his head. When he lashed out in retaliation, he caught nothing but air. Shit, she did find a weakness. My eyes can't keep up with the split second she appears. Cheshire appeared back where she started and Naruto was grinning maliciously at him through her mask. Oh fuck, Cheshire disappeared again and Naruto's shoulder got cut with a Hiraishin kunai. What happened next was a 5-minute massacre as Cheshire got more and more used to fighting like this. It got to the point where Cheshire would cut his cheek by throwing the kunai from behind him. By the time the kunai had cut his cheek and was in front of him, Cheshire had cut 3 more places before appearing again to catch the first kunai. To the naked eye, it seemed as though there were hundreds of translucent Cheshire stabbing and cutting the crap out of him. Naruto was constantly channeling chakra into his eyes, constantly trying to pick up on her moments. That happened to be the only part of his body he defended rigorously. This is nuts, but it's also awesome training for my eyes. I wonder if I could go all the way up to 3 times? Nah, my body knows deep down that I am not giving it my all. I haven't even used ki blasts or jutsu. And then his second tomato appeared. Suddenly he could keep up, if only barely. Naruto quickly took advantage of this and in seconds it was over. Cheshire appeared straight into a heavy body blow by Boo. Think SS2 Gohan on Perfect Cell. Her last sight was of the 2 black tomatoes spinning in Boo's eyes before she slipped into unconsciousness. Chapter 9. Jelly Dragons and Superman. Good Cheshire. Your training is complete. Boo looked down on her unconscious form and grinned maliciously. You have given me what I wanted, Naruto said to himself as he walked towards her. Now I guess it's time I give you what you want. He turned over to her unconscious form and removed her mask. Paying no attention to her face, he etched a stylized M onto the forehead part of her cat mask before putting it back on her. Hey, it's like having my own Anbu division. She'll be a good opponent for the Teen Titans. I wonder how long it will take her to figure out how to walk on water. Hey, oh well, what does that teachers say about their apprentices? Something about having faith. I feel like some chocolate. Naruto was thinking about such important issues as he flew off back toward Titan's Tower before deciding to take a detour to the mall. At the mall with Starfire and Terra. Both Starfire and Terra were getting their hair dried in an electric hair dryer. The ever-talkative Temeranian was talking about, well, everything. Terra didn't mind the lively atmosphere Starfire brought along with her. She wasn't Raven after all. But by talking to Starfire for about 10 minutes she was able to deduce that Starfire had a crush on Robin and was a naturally curious and lively person. Once their hair was finished drying, the teasing of Starfire began. So Starfire, have you kissed Robin? Terra asked slyly whilst ribbing her. Eep. Turns out that this is not an actual word. Would have thought of this as an easy example of onomatopoeia. Thank you English language, friend Terra. Where did you hear of this? Does friend Robin want the kissing from me? Starfire started floating up and down, reminding Terra of a 5-year-old on a sugar rush. Why yes Starfire, he said he would love to kiss you. Terra was having endless fun teasing the oblivious Starfire about Robin. Only to have it rebuffed when Starfire mentioned Naruto to her. So, friend Terra, you were with enemy Boo? And that about summed up Starfire's view of their world. Completely black and white, Terra's entire face turned red and steaming. Well, I guess so. We haven't done it yet. Done what, friend Terra? Starfire looked at her with those big innocent eyes. Terra took one look at her and mentally wanted to run for the hills. Oh hell no, I am not having that conversation with Starfire at the age of 16. Never mind Starfire. Yes, we are together, although he is trying to also be with Raven. Terra controlled her blush at this statement. She had been leaning more toward lesbian preferences before Boo found her. After all, what boy would desire her? With her too skinny body and non-existent curves? And then Boo showed up, Mr. Perfect Body. He had taught her, fed her, and kissed her. But her now bisexual attraction had never completely faded away either, and Raven was gorgeous. Unknowingly, Terra began to giggle in a slightly creepy way. The ever-oblivious Starfire simply ignored the signs of a pervert and kept right on chatting. That was until Boo smashed straight through the wall behind her. Both of them spun around and saw the hole in the wall coming from the Cakes R Us store. Boo had already plowed in the next store, a simple dairy. "Hey, master, get me some energy drinks whilst you are there," Terra shouted out as she turned back around and kept on walking, leaving behind a very confused Starfire. "Friend Terra, why is enemy Naruto robbing the stores of sweet foods? Why not rob the bank for money? Besides the fact that we have $20 mil, that is a pretty good question. I'll ask him." Starfire. Terra then shouted out her question. "Hey master, why not simply buy the cakes and sweets?" Her reply came back. "K takes too long. Buu wants his candy now." Terra nodded to herself as if it was a perfectly reasonable explanation. "Well, there you have it, Starfire." My master got impatient. "Can we go now?" Not waiting for an answer, Terra dragged a gob-smacked Starfire out of the mall, which now had Boo's evil laugh coming from the speakers. Meanwhile, back at Titan's tower, Raven was torn. Beast Boy had been mean, in his clueless sort of way, and had hurt her feelings. Most would expect a teenage girl to simply toughen up, but hurting Raven's feelings has a much bigger consequence than other girls. Rage was having a field day inside her head, explaining in gory details what she was going to do to Beast Boy. Timid was crying, which sounded like the whining from a kicked puppy. In her moment of vulnerability, she turned to her books, especially the book of the sorcerer Malchior and how he defeated the evil dragon Rorik. She was fascinated with the story, and with Terra shopping with Starfire and Boo gone, she felt lonely. Imagine that, her team's worst enemy, according to Robin, regarded her as a friend. She'd kept the photo and the dildo, although both were hidden and she wasn't too sure if the dildo was just a joke. She certainly hadn't used it yet. "I'm not creepy, just misunderstood. I wish someone understood that. Someone I could talk to besides Boo and Terra," Raven said out loud, not expecting a response. "There is," the book responded. Raven dropped the book onto the floor in surprise. "Ouch," the book responded. "Ah, did you just speak?" "Aha. I did, and then you dropped me on my spine." "Oh, sorry, books aren't supposed to talk." Raven kneeled by the book. "True, fair maiden, but I am no book," before turning the pages of the book until a pair of eyes that were part of a face appeared on a page. The page was also torn in half with the bottom half missing. "I am Malchior, at your service, the wizard who faces the dread dragon Rorik, the wizard who defeated Rorik, and is trapped within these pages by the dragon's final curse." Trapped? But that battle was almost 1,000 years ago, Raven said as she scanned the book with her magic, which caused the book to let out a small column of white magic. "The curse is strong. I'm sorry, but I don't think my power can break it." "I know, but perhaps we could just talk." Meanwhile, outside Raven's window, Boo grinned as he listened in on Raven's conversation. This was it. The entity in that book had great knowledge of dark magic. By absorbing it, I may be able to recreate the Majin spell. It is already manipulating Raven into freeing itself, and Beast Boy seems to be trying hard to separate the team. Moron. A perfect set of circumstances. I was right. Good things do come to those who wait, or was it candy? The next day at noon, when Beast Boy went outside Raven's room to apologize to her, he was completely shocked to find Majin Naruto Boo himself standing outside her door. Before Beast Boy said anything, Naruto spoke first. "Shut up," Raven called Terra, and Terra called me. "You're not getting in." Inside her room, Raven built a ritual circle of salt candles and incense. "I've never even heard of this spell. Where did you learn it?" Raven asked as she was doing the final preparations. "It's in the Galleon Scrolls," Melchior responded. "You've read the Galleon Scrolls?" Raven was in awe. Those ancient artifacts were lost due to the simple fact that they were written on scrolls by a hermit wizard almost 700 years ago. The scroll, named after the wizard himself, was full of magical rituals, and the Mornal archives, and the stones of Seer. Ha 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 ha. OMG, IAMROFL. I translated the word SYR. It means cheese. HAHAHAHAHA. I've been trapped in a book. Not much to do but read. Raven nodded. I think it's almost ready. After a lock of her hair was given as the final ingredient, she blew the powder onto the book. Pages came flying around before forming into the crude form of a bandaged male. "Thank you," Melchior said. "You're welcome," Raven responded as she watched the wizard walk towards her. As he was about to touch her with his right hand, it fell apart. "Silly me, of course. I remain bound to the book. Because the curse is still in effect," Raven responded. "Indeed. If I am ever to be truly free, well, it would require magic of much greater power." Raven walked closer to the wizard. "Then teach me the spells. I want to help you. I want to learn." Melchior put his hand around her shoulder, but Raven shrugged it off. "To break this curse, I must teach you more than just a few simple spells. I must teach you everything I know. Meanwhile with Boo, well, this is going to take a while. Whatever should I do in the meantime?" Boo used instant transmission. Oh, Superman, come out and play, or I'll blast the ever-loving shit out of New York City." Naruto shouted and created a planet burst to show that he meant business. The giant pink ball of energy turned the sky pink due to the aura coming off of it, plunging the city into a premature dusk. Of course, this attack would destroy a lot more than New York City, but which idiot tells their opponents the limits of their abilities? A few seconds later, the Man of Steel arrived, floating in front of the field with his arms crossed. "I will not allow you, to hurt the innocent. Me, people of New York, me, hey, are you listening to me?" 1 week later, Raven emerged from her room and was greeted by an ever-shirtless Naruto. He gave her one of his wicked smiles. "I feel your magic beneath your skin. It's intoxicating." Naruto whispered the last 2 words into her covered ear. Raven shivered with something. "Here, let me show you mine." Raven shivered. His? Surely he doesn't mean. Suddenly Raven was caressed by a massive power. She felt like she was a speck, a drop in a vast ocean. By Azeroth, how much power does he have? Before Raven realized what was happening, she was picked up, one arm holding her up by cupping her ass and another bringing her head in for a steamy kiss. In her first show of submissiveness, she moaned softly when Boo stopped the kiss. Naruto dropped his hands and wrapped her long gray-skinned legs around his waist before burying his face into her neck, kissing and sucking it hard, obviously leaving a love mark. Naruto then began channeling his demon chakra through the mark he had just left on Raven's neck. His power reacted with Raven's demonic heritage, causing her to wail as she experienced her first orgasm. Raven was panting hard, gasping as she clutched onto Naruto's shoulders. "You're mine, Raven, my sexy sorceress." Naruto spoke these words only an inch away from Raven's panting mouth. Somehow she knew she would lose her virginity to this man soon. In the second Cardiac fight, Raven appears in a black portal and looks at Cardiac. "This time when I break you, stay broken." Her cloak billows up as she prepares to cast a new spell. Necronom Hesburic Mordix. Robin tries to warn Raven about the hostage situation. "Raven, careful, the girl," but it was too late. The black aura began covering Cardiac. "I can't," Raven said, straining to control it. Suddenly the love mark on her neck pulses and she feels Naruto's energy inside her. Unknown to Raven, the skin on her neck, which was slightly reddened from the intense necking Naruto gave her, developed a mark. It was a very familiar stylized M. Raven's eyes developed a pink glow as she pulled back the spell, tearing Cardiac to pieces whilst leaving the girl unharmed. Thankfully no one saw the pink light show. "Raven, you okay?" Robin asked her after he got the girl out of Cardiac's wreckage. "Yeah, new spell." "Sorry." Raven looked decidedly uncomfortable as she teleported through the floor and back towards Titan's Tower. At Titan's Tower, where were Naruto and Terra at this time? Inside Terra's room, eating caramel-coated popcorn whilst watching a recording of Naruto's fight with Superman. The film was taken by a clone of Naruto himself with a camera. "Master, you never told me that you could fly." Terra kept on eating her popcorn. Honestly, was there anything her master couldn't do? Keep it a secret, Terra? Although I doubt it will be much of a secret for long. Naruto reached for some popcorn and ate it whilst they both tuned into the television. "Hey, are you listening to me?" A giant blue blast almost caught Superman before he used his speed to dodge. Naruto was undeterred and decided it was time to pull off one of the old moves he copied. Putting both hands in front of him, palms out, Naruto used Vegeta's continuous energy bullets attack, one that he had copied as Fat Boo. His grin grew as he watched Superman dodge every single attack. It looked like yellow fireworks were lighting up the sky. Think Final Form Frieza versus Vegeta. Superman wasn't comfortable hurting a teenager, even one as powerful as this one. So he quickly appeared in front of the blonde-haired teen and flicked his forehead for a quick knockout. The boy's head snapped back, hiding his facial expression from Superman. Their Superman didn't see the grin on Naruto's face. What speed? Naruto grinned. He's perfect. Naruto swung his right shin straight into Superman's chest, putting his full power into the strike. Superman was caught completely by surprise at his opponent's durability and strength and was sent flying straight through a skyscraper. Whilst waiting for Superman to recover from the surprise assault, Naruto activated his Sharingan. Back in Terra's bedroom, the close-up view the camera had of Naruto's Sharingan happened to be the first time Terra had seen it. "What are those eyes, Master? They look different from your normal red eyes." Naruto nodded and simply said, "They were incomplete. I fought Superman not only to ease my boredom but to complete my eyes." Both turned back to the television and continued watching. Superman suddenly appeared in front of Naruto with his right fist cocked back. Naruto crossed both arms in front of his chest and lowered his head. Superman's fist impacted Naruto's guard and sent him flying very, very far away. The camera stayed on Superman and showed his reaction to the kid's block. "Nothing cracked at all. I didn't even feel bone. It's as if this kid has no bones at all, only muscle." Superman mused out loud, unaware that this was all being recorded. Once he finished his musings, he noticed the kid was right back in front of him. "This kid is incredible. Tell me, kid, what is your name?" Naruto just gave a deranged smile before creating a planet burst above him. He then simply pointed down. Superman's eyes widened in horror as he saw the colossal blast heading down, straight toward New York City. In a split second, he is above Naruto and gives him a double axe handle straight into his blast. Naruto's Sharingan could see him, slightly, but he couldn't keep up and was helpless as he was sent into his blast. Superman then appeared below the planet burst and used his heat vision on the attack. The ball slowed down and turned from a pink to an angry red. Superman kept up the heat vision as the ball resembled more and more like the sun. Naruto impacted the attack and was incinerated before Superman's heat vision sent the ball flying out into space. Unknown to Superman, Naruto fired off one of his fingers just in time. Although Naruto was completely incinerated by the attack, his finger rapidly divided up and became him again. Terra was shocked at the limits of Naruto's regeneration. Even a piece of him can regenerate in seconds. And from the looks of it, Superman missed the whole regeneration. Superman looked shocked when he looked in front of him at the street, only to see Boo standing right in front of him. Naruto could immediately tell the difference in his vision. It had evolved again. A complete Sharingan. Perfect. My name is Majin Naruto Boo, Superman. Thank you for the battle. Naruto put 2 fingers on his forehead and disappeared. They turned off the television. Master, can you show me your eyes? Terra turned and looked at Naruto expectantly. Naruto sighed and closed his eyes. When they opened, a perfect 3-tomo Sharingan was displayed in both eyes. Terra had stars for eyes. Cool, what's it do? Terra hit him with her puppy look. Must resist look. Naruto leaned in close. It's a secret. Terra pouted before the entire tower shook. It was a testament to Naruto's faith in her that he didn't even glance in her direction when it happened. Let's go up to the roof. Naruto distended his mouth like a snake and swallowed all the caramel popcorn, packet, and all. Terra whined at Naruto, taking all the candy for himself before he picked her up bridal style and flew out of Terra's window, with her shrieking in surprise and delight. On the roof of Titan's tower, the Teen Titans were fighting ineffectively against the dread dragon Malchior. Raven unleashed her newly learned spells against Malchior at little effect. The M on her neck suddenly glowed and Raven's eyes became completely red, along with a smaller pair appearing above them. Raven spat out a thick black mist that was supercharged with pink lightning bolts inside it. Crackling like lightning and hissing like acid, the mist descended onto the Malchior. Malchior breathed fire against the tide, and for a moment it looked as if it would be held back. Then the tide arced out into 5 streams, forming a black hand with demonic claws. The hand continued to grow before crushing the flames. Reverting into his cloud-like state again, a massive bolt of pink lightning arced out and struck Malchior. Even with his wing pulled up in defense, a hole was still punched straight through and struck his ribs, causing the dragon to roar in pain. Suddenly a purple beam was fired from a different direction and struck the dragon. Malchior roared in pain, a roar that quickly died away as with a puff of smoke the dragon became a jelly dragon, one that was quickly levitated and eaten by Boo. Raven's red eyes quickly reverted to normal and she dropped from the sky in exhaustion, only to be caught bridal style by Terra, who was flying on a piece of the broken ceiling, and brought to Boo. Although there was no significant change in Buu's power from absorbing the Malchior, there was a massive amount of new knowledge available to him. Buu hadn't felt like this since he had absorbed Piccolo. He walked up to Raven and grinned at her. 7:00 tomorrow. Your training begins. Before kissing her forehead and disappearing. It was at this point that Terra discovered that she may be bi. Seeing Raven in her arms and the fact that the Titans weren't looking in their direction for now, she bent down and gave Raven a full kiss on the lips. Okay, sadly chapter is over, and if you enjoyed, just leave a like and subscribe with a post notification so when the chapter is ready you will be notified. Okay, see you next one, bye.